And we're back with another Friday night beer time with your host. That's me, the big bird looking fellow they call Colin. Happy Friday, everybody. We've made it through another week, and it's time to crack open another cold one and crack into another story that's been pissing me off all week, as we do. So this week's beer is comes courtesy of my wife from Fort George Brewing, and it's called Pizza Pals IPA. And Fort George Brewery is a lovely little brewery outside of, it's in Astoria, Oregon, of all places. Nice, quaint little town. And it's one of the best breweries I've ever been to be perfectly honest. And that's not because I'm not just wearing my Echoes hat today, and I'm not shilling for my home team today. But it's because it's fantastic. We've been down there to the brewery and had a lot of beers. So we're going to do it up like we always do, everybody. Cheers. Happy Friday. And we're going to dive right into some fun-loving stories today. Oh. It's like a nice hazy IPA, too. Very, very delicious. Oh, my cat's climbing on top of the roof again. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, Michelob Ultra, baby. Champagne of beers. You keep it classy there, Joseph, like you always do. Happy Friday, brother. I'm very excited. The cat is on the other side of the studio, climbing on top of the bookshelves I have, and she's about to create some serious chaos. And I am totally and utterly powerless to do anything about it. There it goes. There it goes. All right, she's dismounting. This might be really exciting. Subject of today's episode is, of course, the balloon. As we all know, I'm sure if you've been anywhere on social media, that's Miller, Michelob Ultra. That's for like losing weight, right? That's the one that what do you call those people? There's a joke in here somewhere. That's all right. You drink Michelob Ultra as much as you want, Joseph. Miller High Life, that's the champagne of beers. That's what it is. Oh, I'm a disgrace to myself. I am a disgrace to myself. Either way, let's talk about this, Joseph. We're going to talk about our lovely Chinese research balloon, if you believe what the Chinese have to say about it. That's been slowly making its way across the country over the last few days, and we're just kind of sitting back and, just watching it. It's been pretty fun. Today, we had a actual statement come out from the Chinese government regarding this thing today. This comes from Insider Paper, which you got to be careful about these people. They have a lot of 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Yo, you're doing it up proper, man, because this right here, this kind of stuff, it might be delicious, but my waistline hates it. Oh, this cat's going to kill me, man. I'm just watching it in the background all go down like in slow motion. She's just knocking over books. I got these little South Park plushies that sit on top of my books, and she just knocks them over one by one by one. Oh, but we're going to get through it. Let me see how many calories this thing has got. There it goes. There's another one. I think she actually just fell that time. That's fun. Are you okay, cat? Yep, she's fine. Good. She just knocked over my whole bookshelf. I'm so excited. Shoot it down days ago. Amen, Joseph. All right, this fucking cat's going to kill me. She's going to kill me. So we're just going to read this article because we're going to hear what Beijing has to say about our lovely balloon. And then we're going to look at some tracking patterns and where it's at, where it's going to be. And then we're going to talk about what our own worthless government has to do about this. I mean, I didn't have to shoot her down, Joseph. She just went down. Maybe the balloon, we'll get lucky enough the balloon will do that same thing. So anyways, Beijing said on Friday it regretted an, quote, unintended breach of U.S. airspace by what it describes as an unmanned civilian airship after the Pentagon said it was tracking a Chinese spy plane. The airship is from China, a spokesperson for China's Minister of Foreign Affairs said in a statement. It's a civilian airship used for research, mainly meteorological purposes. Of course, that's why you keep it up so high that nothing can really grit at it, right? For meteorological purposes. Don't worry about your satellites or nothing. We don't need to do that. Don't worry that like all the sensors are on the bottom of it. because space is up, not down, but that's fine. The Chinese side regrets the unintended entry into the U.S. airspace due to force majeure. And if you guys don't know what that means, force majeure is basically just like forces out of our control. So that's just, it just happened, man. The Pentagon said Thursday it was tracking a Chinese spy balloon flying high over the United States, with a senior defense official telling reporters that the intent of this balloon is for surveillance. Excuse me. At President Joe Biden's request, U.S. officials considered shooting the balloon down, but concluded doing so would endanger too many people on the ground. The official said on condition of anonymity. The incident came just days after a scheduled visit to China by U.S. Secretary of State, just days before a scheduled visit to China by U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, aimed at managing heightened tensions between the two powers. Anthony Blinken is a complete and utter waste of space. Unintended breach, intentional and expected shoot it down days ago. Indeed. Intentional and expected shoot it down days ago. Yeah, you'd think. I'll wait to go off on the U.S. government's failure here until after we listen to the words from their own mouth. Let's see here. Visit will mark the first trip to Asia's country in the United States. Top diplomat since 2018. Beijing did not immediately identify the balloon's Chinese origin at a foreign minister news briefing on Friday. It made the admission later, saying the civilian craft was blown off course. Affected by the westerlies. That's what I like, that one. The westerlies. The westerly winds. And with limited self-steering capability, the airship deviated far from its planned course. That's what balloons do. When you send them up in the sky, they go up and they go where the wind takes them. Duh. The Chinese side will continue communicating with the U.S. side and properly handle this unexpected situation caused by force majeure. Just so stupid. That's the wrong one. We pulled up the wrong pathway. I moved it over here. There we go. So this was the original, starting in February 1st. This is the release track path of the balloon. And this comes from flightglobal.com, coming from China, just south of South Korea, going over Japan, and then working its way across, going across Alaska, and then all the way across western Canada into Montana, which when I believe the first story started to break out when it was on Montana. But right now, for today, the 3rd of February, we're looking at the projected path to kind of go over, what is this, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and I believe North Carolina, perhaps, going easterly. Let's see here. This article had some interesting things to say here. Let's pull it up here. Yeah, this comes from flightglobal.com. The U.S. military is tracking what it describes as a Chinese high-altitude surveillance balloon traveling over the continental United States. The Pentagon, on 2 February, said the joint U.S.-Canada North America Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, quit moving. This website just pushes you up or pushes you down. Oh, it drives me nuts. Is monitoring the object, which defense officials believe originated in the People's Republic of China. The balloon is currently traveling at an altitude well above commercial air traffic and does not present a military or physical threat to people on the ground, says Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Pat Ryder. This is making a lot of assumptions. We're making a lot of assumptions here that it's just going to just do what balloons do and hang out. It's making a lot of assumptions. There's nothing on this craft that we aren't expecting. They don't have any kind of hidden surprises for us. No, nothing. It's just making a lot of assumptions. Oh, it's just fine. It'll just blow through. But I guess that's what we do these days. American defense officials recommended against taking kinetic actions against the balloon for fear the debris would threaten people or infrastructure on the ground. Currently, we assess that this balloon has limited additive value for intelligence collection perspective, says a senior defense official who declines to be identified, but we are taking steps nevertheless to protect against foreign intelligence collection of sensitive information. The recommendation against shooting down the balloon apparently came from General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and U.S. Air Force General Glenn Van Herrick, command of NORAD, and U.S. Northern Command, the Pentagon says. What does Joseph say here? Watch it go directly over D.C. What an international joke we have become. Amen, Joseph. You know, that's when you'll know it won't be around anymore. The balloon will just disappear right before it starts to head to D.C. And be like, oh, I don't know what happened. The balloon failed. It just fell down. We don't really know what happened, but it got too close to D.C., so we shot it down. However, NORAD reported scrambling Lockheed Martin F-22 fighters on the 1st of February in response to the incursion. The FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, also issued a ground stop for several hours on the 1st of February around Billings Logan International Airport in Montana near the balloon. Flight traffic has since resumed. So, not only do we have essentially an unidentified flying object coming into our airspace from a foreign country, because regardless, this thing came from Canada, but before that, it appeared to have come from the Pacific Ocean. We're assuming China. If these flight paths that we see here are accurate, then it came from China. And we're just gonna kind of like let it ride as it goes into U.S. airspace. This seems good. Oh, Milley, the general told to China we will tell them if we're going to respond or attack. That's the same guy, Joseph. That's the same guy. And he's also, as we can see here, the same guy that says we're not going to shoot down the Chinese spy balloon. So, all that empty space over there in Montana, we might, damage some infrastructure or something like that. And now, funny enough, is as we get away from like the Midwest and the central parts of the country where like the people are very, very scattered about in small areas and small groups and lots of open space. Now that's getting farther to the east where populations become more packed, it becomes even more difficult to shoot it down if you needed to at this point. So the one time you should have done this, you didn't. So there's that. Let's see, and this is the other point I wanted to make. Not only is this thing coming into our airspace, but it's also disrupting like interstate commerce. It's international commerce. This is stopping planes from flying. Because it's an object flying through the sky that you have no idea what it's doing, what's going on with it, what it is. Air traffic control has no concept of how to deal with this thing. So what do? You just ground planes because you're not going to allow civilian aircraft to be flying around when there's an unidentified flying fucking object around. Done. It's the stupidest fucking thing in the world. And we're just going to, that's fine. Kevin, welcome in there, big guy. Milley and Biden are selling us out. Amen, dude. This just sounds like par for the course, doesn't it? Like all those private meetings that the Biden family took with Chinese officials and Chinese businesses during his off years in between VP and president. Maybe this is all, working out in the end here, huh? Court-martial and do stuff to him for treason and the actual fucking second Congress declares war. I mean, let's do all that. I'm into all that, man. I'm into all that. So let's see here. Where were we? Yep, we didn't want to shoot it down. Could really go into the dimensions. I can't really go into the dimensions. The unnamed official says, grow a fucking pear, nut up, and if you're going to talk to the press, at least be like a man about it and put your name behind this shit, because who is an unnamed official? It could be any fucking paper pusher. It could be the fucking janitor that works at the Air Force Base. Could be anybody. Unnamed official doesn't mean shit to me. But there have been reports of pilots seeing this thing, even though it's pretty high up in the sky, so it's sizable. The exact altitude of the balloon was not disclosed. However, analysts from Reuters claims modern surveillance balloon filled with lighter than air helium. It's 2023. we've all gotten a crash course in virology over the last few years. I think we know what fucking helium is. You don't need to tell me it's lighter than air. Helium can reach altitudes between 80,000 feet and 120,000 feet above the surface ceiling. Yeah, the service ceiling of fighter aircraft. Yeah, that's pretty high up there. That's like, there ain't no air to fly on up there. That's why you can't fly that high, because there ain't no air to fly on. Modern missile defense platforms such as the USA's sea-based Aegis ballistic missile defense system and ground-based mid-course defense system could potentially engage targets at such heights. The U.S. has also in the past successfully targeted orbiting satellites with surface and air-launched missiles, although it committed to ending such tests in 2022. Yeah, then we get a little brief history that these spy balloons have been around since World War II, World War I, the Cold War. They were used a lot. Very nice little history lesson. Nobody cares, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, yeah, we get in the same statement that we just read from Insider News. And then we were once again revisited with the reminder of how long we had to shoot this down while it came through the barren area of Alaska where nobody fucking lives at all. Could have done it then. Could have done it then. Most of this Canadian airspace, they could have shot it down. And then, of course, through areas of Montana, and as it's kind of gone to the southeast at that point. And then, of course, now we're getting in some serious territory over here and get more and more populated as you go east. So it's like the time is gone. It passed us. It should have been done the 1st of February 2 days ago. That's right, Joseph. Days ago. And we're just been okay with letting the Chinese spy on us 4 days. Like, we all know the Chinese spy on us, right? That's what TikTok's for, right? They spy on us with satellites. I mean, I'm sure they're somehow doing some crazy internet stuff, some phones. Who knows? I'm sure the depths of their spying abilities are pretty severe and intrusive. But it's okay to recognize that is a possibility and a thing going on. But if you blatantly see it happening right in front of you, you do your best to stop it, I would assume, right? Maybe the one thing the fucker government should do for us. Stop this thing. But anyways, we move on. Why would China use a spy balloon when it has satellites? Let's see what is this? This is the BBC. Let's see what the BBC says about why they would do this. China has said the balloon spotted over the state of Montana is merely a civilian airship which deviated off its planned route, but the U.S. suspects it's a high-altitude surveillance device. Whatever the capabilities of this particular balloon, the U.S. has taken the threat seriously, not seriously enough, to postpone Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's visit to China, which was due to take place 5th and 6th, so that'd be in 2 days from now. The world now knows we're completely inept. Amen. Why do you think Russia invaded Ukraine? Because they could. He gambled and was like, well, we're going to do this and holy hellstorm's going to rain down on us because wild man DJ Trump's in office, or nothing's going to happen because old man Biden's in there. And he'll just kind of see the opportunity to make money in war, and then bing, bang, boom, here we are. Let's see. High-altitude surveillance balloons. So this is what we're looking at here. If we remember the picture, this is like the best high-res picture we've seen of this thing so far, by the way. I just found this thing. So you got some solar panels to power all of your spy shit that goes on in the middle here, and then your giant balloon on the outside. But it's just a helium balloon with a bunch of spy devices on it and a power supply. And this thing says it's between 120,000 and 80,000 feet, like we just covered. And it could be doing anything. It could have cameras, radar, sensors, communication equipment. LiDAR is a really big thing these days. Using laser. Oh, come on now. What is it? It's like a laser radar. It basically shoots lasers back and bounces back and forth. And it gives you a very relatively accurate topographic map of what's down below you. It's used a lot in, a lot of state kind of mapping situations and stuff like that. But you can very accurately, I'm sure, from that distance and something moving as slow as a balloon, you can get an incredibly detailed area of, say, like, I don't know, the Air Force Base in Montana where we keep 100 nuclear missiles siloed. I mean, you can get a really good idea what's going on there, what the topography looks like. Who knows what the fuck else is going on, which is exactly why we should probably do something about it, right? If we don't know what it's doing, we just sit here with our thumb up our asses guessing, which is just insane to me. Let's see here. From the Daily Mail, China spy balloon caught hovering over Montana missile silo. Could be 120 feet helium-powered airship that is equipped with surveillance cameras and radar. Experts warn they are key delivery platforms for secret nuclear attacks. Boom. Perfect example. That's why I brought this up. I was wondering. I was like, we just did this. The concept here that this could be a platform for anything else, how can you rule that out? How do you just assume that it's just surveillance equipment? How can you, maybe this thing's gonna ride the fucking westerlies, like that Chinese ambassador dude said, and then maybe it'll just drop a little fucking suitcase nuke over on DC. Maybe it'll drop a little I don't know, like some kind of insane virus. Just drop it out. Maybe it's an aerosolized virus. Like, I mean, that'd be a great deployment method at high altitude. Shit. Anyways, so let's see what the lovely Daily Mail says here. The Pentagon's rejection of China's claim that the balloon detected floating over nuclear sites in the U.S. is a civilian airship raises further questions about its surveillance capabilities. Analysis predict that the balloon is about the size of 3 buses. It's a big old balloon. And could be fitted with high-tech equipment, including cameras, sensors, and radar. Question mark. How big is like a regular hot air balloon? Mind you, that's a different thing. That's like just using heat and stuff. But I mean, they're pretty fucking big, right? Like, how do you stack 3 buses in a circle? How are we using 3 buses as the size here? What are we talking about? I need some more data here than just 3 buses. Because I'm thinking a balloon, and now I'm thinking buses. I don't understand how that's a good size and analogy. We need to do better, Daily Mail, or whoever's talking about these so-called experts here. Use of balloons to conduct spy missions dates back to the Cold War, but modern-day systems can take advantage of the latest deployments in surveillance technology. The balloon was 46,000 feet. I love how everybody's got a different, like, height that this thing's going, which means nobody actually knows how high this thing is. Balloon's floating 6,000 feet above the center of the continental United States at midday ETA Friday. The Pentagon said the balloon's path had taken it over Montana, triggering fears it was gathering intelligence on nuclear missile sites in the state. Of course it was. China claimed on Friday morning the civilian balloon. Yep. Okay. Here we go. Here's some sizing analogies. I like this here. So 3 buses wide, 120 feet by 120 feet. Got it. Okay, so that sizes up better. Deborah's here. Hello, Deborah. We're talking about the balloon. I hope you're enjoying your Friday evening. All right, so it's a big old balloon. That makes sense then. 120 feet. So 3 buses long, 3 bus lengths high. That's a big old balloon. That's nice. Oh yeah, there's our lovely route. Boom. Over the Aleutian Islands, where we should have shot it down in the fucking first place. But here we go. And then of course over the Malmstrom Air Force Base, where we've got over 100 nuclear missiles, and then Lord knows what other highly sensitive infrastructure this thing will be passing as we go by. That's fun. Well, we've got ourselves an official from the Pentagon here who's going to fill us all in and get us all up to date with a few of these clips here. So let's take a listen and find out what he has to say.
In regards to our announcement last night regarding the high-altitude surveillance balloon, I'm not going to have much new information to provide other than to say that the North American Aerospace Defense Command continues to monitor it closely. While we won't get into specifics in regards to the exact location, I can tell you that the balloon continues to move eastward and is currently over the center of the continental United States. Again, we currently assess that the balloon does not present a military or physical threat to people on the ground at this time, and we'll continue to monitor and review options.
So you assess that it's just fine, just like your assessment when we were going to pull out of Afghanistan. It would have been real smooth, and the Taliban would have taken months and months and months to take over the country. Just like that kind of assessment. I trust you guys. So we're not going to tell you where it's at, but we're watching it, and it's somewhere generally over the middle of the country. Awesome. Thanks for all the info, dude.
Is the position of the balloon classified?
Phil, right now, what we're not going to do is get into a hour-by-hour location of the balloon. Again, we're monitoring it closely. As I mentioned, right now, it's over the center of the continental United States. That's about as specific as I'm going to get.
But I understand it might be inconvenient, but does the public not have a right to know if the balloon
the public
is over their
certainly
state?
has the ability to look up in the sky and see where the balloon is.
Jack Posobiec is right. They hate you. They hate you. And I'll go ahead and I'll say what Donovan's line is always. They hate you and they want you to die. They don't think they need to tell you where it's at. You just walk outside and look up into the sky. That's all you need to do. These are the people that are sworn to protect the country, and they can't even take a fucking spy balloon going through the middle of the country. Seriously, this is insane to me. This is totally insane to me. Oh, let's Iron Dome that. Yes, Deborah, let's Iron Dome that bad boy. I'm great. Joseph came out of a 36 or 39-hour blackout. Whoa, that's a lot. That's a long time. You guys lose power? Oh, you're down in Tejas, aren't you, Deborah? Yeah, it's a whole thing. It got below freezing down there. People freaked out, I'm sure. It's not supposed to freeze in Texas, man. It gets very uncomfortable. Double tap that shit, Kevin says. I like it.
Yeah.
So what else you got to say?
Thank you, Pat. You said that this is violating our airspace, so why not take it down?
Yeah, so, clearly as we assess options and considering the size of the payload on this, looking at the potential for debris and the impact on civilians on the ground or property damage, again, running through the various factors and looking at in terms of does it pose a potential risk to people while in the air. And right now, as I mentioned, we assess that it does not pose a risk to people on the ground as it currently is traversing the continental United States. And so out of an abundance of caution, cognizant of the potential impact to civilians on the ground
if it saves
from
one
a
life,
debris field, right now we're going to continue to monitor and review options.
And if I may, you mentioned that we...
Oh, my gosh. How many words can I waste saying nothing? Amen. We're not going to do anything. And, I just want to sound like I actually care about you when I obviously don't care about you or the safety of the United States. So we're just going to let this thing play out. We're just going to let it ride because our assessment is that it's totally fine. Totally fine. So it's fine. It's fine. Just you could look up at it and you can wave to the Chinese and just say, hey, CCP, how are you? And just hope that, nothing worse happens. The Texas ERCOT screwing everyone. Yeah, they seem to do that down there. That's like a thing. Nobody does, I'm assuming that's the power company. They just can't handle when it's too hot or if it is too cold. They just don't do so well with that. He's a pompous, pontificating prick. He's a triple P, Deborah says. A pompous, pontificating prick. I'm going to use that if I can remember it. That's a really good one. A pompous, pontificating prick. Okay. So obviously these people do not care about this Chinese spy balloon floating across the United States. They don't care as it passes your house. They don't care how much intelligence they think they might be getting as it passes over military bases and nuclear facilities. They just don't care about that, obviously, because otherwise they'd fucking do something about it when they could have done something about it days ago. And at this point, excuse me, I believe this is the only reason we're getting any kind of public, what's the right word I'm looking for? The only reason they're addressing it at this time is because people actually saw it and started to post around on fucking social media going, what the hell is this thing? What is this thing? You see all the videos and them looking at the moon and then flipping over this thing and be like, what the fuck over? And then there was a bunch of refueling jets over that came out of Spokane, Washington that flew over to Montana. We're kind of like doing loops around this thing to try to figure out what the hell it was. And they're standing on their assessment that this thing is not a threat to the United States, even though it invaded United States airspace, and we're just going to let it ride and everything's fine. We would not want to piss off the Chinese government after all. But this is a perfect example. Ice storm just went through. I hear, I'm glad you got your power back somewhat quickly. Oh, fucking ice storm. Ice storms are the worst. Like I've done like the blizzard thing before on the East Coast, and like I've been, we get lots of snow sometimes. Like I've been, like snow's a whole different deal. Ice storm is just, it's just ice everywhere, man. That sucks, Deborah. Oh, no good. I hope the generators are stocked. People got to be getting them generators, man. That and wood stove. Wood stoves are legit. I used to have one. I don't have one at my house anymore. Trees, trees going down too. Yeah, all that extra weight from all the ice that just sticks to those things, they'll topple over like nothing. They'll snap like toothpicks. That actually happened to us. I don't know, a couple months ago. We had a pretty nasty storm, and some of the power lines blew over because they just got too heavy and just snapped in half. All these fucking aging creosote logs that don't actually do anything. Glad to hear you're back up and running, though. Thank the linemen. Don't cuss at them. Amen. The linemen, them dudes worked so fucking hard. Every time I see them working, they're killing it. Another beer? Sure, I'll take another beer. What? Yeah, okay. Okay. Wifey just comes in, gives me another beer. I'm almost done with my other beer, but thanks. I'll take another beer. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. So, point to be made here is we have a massive failure of the federal government to do the one thing that I could arguably say is their actual job, and that's to maintain the sanctity of our borders. Obviously, it's one thing when we're talking about the ground border, the land border down in Mexico. We've talked about that 1,000 times over here. But if you think the one thing we have an ironclad lock on is our fucking airspace, yet a balloon can just float in here from fucking China and essentially has free-for-all. And there are no repercussions for this thing. We don't take action to remove it. An unknown entity, a UFO, essentially, an unknown flying object, if you will, that we have no idea what it really is. They're assessing that it's a fucking harmless, quote-unquote, harmless surveillance drone. But what about all the harm that will come from all the intel that it's getting during its surveillance? Is that not part of your duty of care, if you will, from the fucking United States government, the federal government, the fucking Pentagon, NORAD? Just gonna let it fly in here? What if it's a balloon from North Korea? I mean, North Korea and China, very close. Maybe it's a North Korean fucking balloon. Who knows what could happen, man? Hell, so can Chinese police forces just came right on in and do whatever it wants, set up a station, arrest people, send them back to China? China just eats our lunch, don't they, Deborah? When you really think about all the shit that they're involved in, we've talked about those police stations before, those secret police stations throughout the country. Nabbing up people on our streets and sending them back to China, whether or not they're, Chinese citizens technically or not, it doesn't really matter. You don't get to like go in and black bag your own citizens from another country and then bring them back home. I mean, we do that shit with like people like Julian Assange anyways, and he's not even a fucking a citizen, if I recall. So we've got that. We've got the absolute sell-off of the majority of our industry, farmland, and intellectual property, manufacturing capability. Obviously, we don't even make things like our own medicine. We don't make any of the things. Everything I use to make this show possible, I guarantee you, passes through China in some capacity. Whether it's the plastic casings that make up the cameras, or the microphones themselves, or like the stuff that goes into making the computer monitors, or parts of the chips and stuff that go inside the computer, or even maybe the wires that go into the computer, or the fans that go into the computer. All that stuff comes from China. We're wholly bought and sold by China at this point. Definitely under Biden, no questions asked. Amen, Joseph. It's not a good deal, man. It's a really terrifying situation. All this China stuff is getting way out of hand, and we are just getting bent over backwards every single time. So, let me see. What else is happening here? You guys see that Nikki Haley's thinking about running for president? Or she is running for president? What do you guys think about that one? You guys like Nikki Haley? What's popping there in your mind? I think it's a very interesting situation, this Nikki Haley business. It's official. Nikki Haley running for president. Formal announcement February 15th. So it's officially not official. I'm not a fan of the Nikki Haley myself. But I think, yeah, she's going to be running. She recently she's said like a few kind of like giving Trump a few little jabs here and there, you know. So I don't really know exactly what's going to be happening there. But let's see what is this? The Pelma, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to pull up like a legit article. We'll just give that a quick little read through here. Nikki Haley, 5 questions Nikki Haley might challenge the New York Times. Do I have any freebie New York Times articles left? Yes, I do. We'll do that because I refuse to pay the New York Times any fucking money. Eager to challenge Trump. Republicans aren't so eager to be the first. Nikki Haley is expected to join the 2024 race this month, but other GOP candidates are taking a wait-and-see approach. Some anti-Trump Republicans worry that too much dithering could be costly. Oh, excuse me. Problem with reading a lot while trying to drink beer on a Friday night. It's kind of rough. Trump 2024. Yeah, I'm Trump all the way, Deborah says. Y'all just a bunch of Trumpies. I see how it is. I do wonder how it is that Donovan and I have attracted you people to our channel and our show, because I mean, there should be no secret. We got no love for the T-Dog. Got no love for the guy, except for in certain circumstances. Like to think I call balls and strikes myself, but not like a fanboy of Mr. Trump, obviously. But I mean, you know, you could convince me otherwise. I'm very sure. So increasing uncertainty is rippling through the Republican Party over how to beat Donald J. Trump, for 2024 presidential nomination, as the array of parties' top figures move slowly towards challenging the politically wounded yet resilient former president. I don't see how he's politically wounded. I want the Trump economy back. Amen, Deborah. I want the economy back too. I really do. Best numbers of our lives, they said during the time. I mean, I'll take it, man. He's got some authoritarian tendencies, which I'm really not a huge fan of, but that's fine. We could take the good with the bad. I heard Tim Pool gave an interesting kind of semi-argument to why he had John Bolton on staff. He's like, maybe John Bolton was like his bulldog that he just dragged with him everywhere. And then he'd go in and like start talking some shit to some other countries. And when they'd spout back, John Bolton would be like, we'll fucking nuke you. We'll take over your country. And then, okay, man, hey, we'll play ball, bro. We'll play ball. That's fine. The GOP will literally shoot themselves in the foot if they don't back off challenging Trump. At this point, man, I think they kind of they nullified the whole classified documents issue. Now that Biden's got the same problem, if not way worse. Let's be perfectly honest. So that their last kind of major thing to be like, well, he's got classified documents. He can't run for president anymore. Well, motherfucker, the current president has all these classified documents from when he wasn't president. So we're done talking about this, aren't we? So we're moving on. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know who's going to challenge him because, people keep saying Ron DeSantis this, Ron DeSantis that, Ron DeSantis a forerunner and all this stuff. Well, maybe the dude just wants to be governor, man. Maybe he just wants to be governor. He's not really made any homages to running for president. And if he did, I mean, we find out real soon, I would imagine. The clock is ticking, as they say. And it's only going to get more and more severe as it goes on, but you're just not going to win the party nomination from Trump. It's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So contenders have so far been unwilling to officially jump into the race, wary of becoming a sacrificial lamb on Trump's altar of devastating nicknames and eternal fury. My God, these people are so dramatic. Some are waiting to see if the prosecutors in Georgia and New York will do the heavy lifting for them and charge Trump with crimes related to his election meddling after the 2020 contest or hush money payments to a porn star during the 2016 campaign. None of that's going to stick, man. None of that's going to stick. For the election stuff, that's his closest issue with like the stuff in Georgia with the alternative elector slates and all this stuff, but like the hush money payments, bro, look at like 75% of Congress. Just they can't be doing that. No, that'll just bounce off of him like everything else does. And I really don't think this election thing's really going to have any actual legal merit to it. So I don't see any of this stuff sticking. The dude is, we've seen it happen. We saw it happen for 4 fucking years. The dude's Teflon. MAGA won't even vote DeSantis in a majority large enough to stop him. They will let the Democrats have it if they try. And that's the fear, Joseph. That is the fear. I will say that because the dude's in, obviously. He's the only one that's officially announced. And, yeah, I mean, obviously, once we get into the primaries and stuff like that, it's going to happen. But I don't he'll win the GOP nomination for sure, but I don't know as far as the general goes. Thankfully, he's been relatively quiet, so he hasn't pissed off a lot of the normie people who just are Trump haters for no reason, just because Orange Man bad. So he's been relatively quiet, and I think that's really probably played to the center's advantage if you want to get those. Excuse me, those, what do you call them, the centrist vote. I think that's probably the best way to do it, is just to not, don't act like a crazy person. Teflon Don, I like it. DeSantis vice for Trump would be unstable or unstoppable. What is it, Joseph? Unstable or unstoppable? Unstoppable. There you go. Yeah, I've heard that floated a few times. I think that's an interesting deal. Ultimately, I think Nikki Haley's deal here is she's going to try to run to become kind of a household name. And of course, she's not going to get past the primaries at that point. So she'll run, she'll steal a bunch of people's money, make a big deal about it, say a bunch of things, but she'll probably just run kind of generally peripheral to Trump. I don't think she'll come at him directly, because I think what's really happening is here she's building up a portfolio and she's building up a case for her to be picked up as VP. That's what I think she's trying to do. But we'll see as time goes on. She's said some stuff about Trump before in the negative manner, so I don't really know. But she's really kind of all over the board, so we'll see as time goes on. But here's the deal. It's Washington against Trump. Democrats and GOP are Washington. Amen, Deborah. Definitely is. And it's just us normies stuck in the middle. We're the select few that if we're not a part of Washington and we're not Democrats, so we're just the ones out in the wilderness that are can we just save the country? That'd be cool. I'm an anarchist at heart, but I like this country that we live in. I'd like to maybe let's dare I say make America great again. Hey, look at that. It's a good slogan. It's good sloganing from the market manager extraordinaire. Anyways, so there's that. We got some China stuff. We got some Nikki Haley stuff. There is I thought we were going to be done with the Eliza Blue saga, but it actually continues. I'm not going to go too deep into it today. And I don't have those people blown up, don't I? But yeah, there's been a new saga started in this realm where now it's starting to get legal and going from Twitter censorship to YouTube censorship. All the people that have been doing stories on the Eliza Blue fiasco. If you guys want some more info, I think 2 episodes ago on the Beer Time Show, we talked about it. And then if you like people like Jeremy from the Quartering YouTube, he's got a bunch of videos breaking down all the stuff. He's also a good Twitter follow on that one. He's got tons of stuff on his Twitter, which he finally got back because Eliza Blue had him censored. But all these people now on YouTube that have been reporting on the story and showing the articles and all this stuff have been hit overnight with hundreds of privacy strikes on their videos concerning them. And they're all getting pissed off, and they're going to be possibly taking some legal action now, because now you're really starting to fuck with people's money. So we're going to see where that goes. But yeah, that's interesting. Once this thing fully dies down, I might do a full, long, recorded video and upload on the channel about how this thing started, who this person was, where she came from, why it's important that we talk about the censorship that is coming out of this, and then how it ended. But we need to know the ending to the story before we get there. So anyways, let's wrap it up here for today. I got to be running to the airport here in a few hours. So yeah, I'm gonna chug one more beer after I leave you guys, and then go spend some time with the wifey before she takes off. So happy Friday, everybody, once again. From what do we say here? We say for Mr. Donovan, my co-host over here at Salt the Streets, I am Big Bird Offie. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Be sure to check us out on the socials. Follow us on all the things. He's at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram and at Salt of the Street on Twitter. I am at Big Bird Offie on all the things. SaltTheStreets.com, Salt the Streets everywhere. You have all the other stuff on the social medias. We do all that good stuff. And Patreon. Make sure Salt the Streets Patreon. We just put out. Donovan just posted the monthly newsletter for January. That was a good one. I talked a little bit about some business type stuff, and Donovan's got a fantastic piece in there. So I highly recommend jumping over to patreon.com/saltthestreets. Not only will you be supporting us and our endeavors over here to spread freedom and liberty to all you fantastic people here on the internet, but also you'll be helping us support that mission each and every day. So thank you guys so much. Happy Friday again. Love to see you guys, and I will see you here next week, the day before episode 142.